Down meetings and agendas.
Yeah, the purple shoe camera in my house, dude. Huh? I love watching. I love watching.
We'll talk about that later.
Especially when you're alone.
I do. It was the Is Paulie ready? Is Paulie ready? Ready?
Ready? You ready?
Did you get him?
I'd like to call the February 6th, 2018 City Council meeting to order. Honorable Mayor Bob Odenkirk presiding. Leading us in our invocation this evening is Pastor Larry Tyler of the Second Baptist Church, who will also lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the privilege to invite you into these proceedings. We thank you, Lord, for this council. We thank you for each member. We thank you, Lord, for your abiding presence, imparting wisdom, strength, discretion, compassion, and fairness for all. We ask that you would abide in these proceedings. We thank you for the constituents of this great city. And we thank you for all things. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Let everybody say, Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I miss those days.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How you doing, Pastor? Thank you.
That was the good old days.
Did you get the email from David?
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of emails and texts today.
I know.
We'll start with roll call. Mayor Odenkirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hugg.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on our agenda, we have a presentation by the Joliet Slammers, their community impact report.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Heather Mills, the general manager of the Joliet Slammers. This is a report we give every year after our season has ended. So I'm going to move through this fairly quickly. If you do have questions, please let me know. So this is our 5th annual Community Impact Report looking back at 2017. And just some of the points I'm going to cover is how we continue to provide affordable family fun here in the community, how we're making a real impact in the community, and how we continue to bring people downtown Joliet. So first of all, I want to talk about affordable family fun. Back in July of 2016, Ballpark Digest did a report talking about what a family of 4 would pay on average for attending a minor league baseball game. You can see that's about $65. If you come out on one of our Tuesday games, you'll see that we are well below that at $32. When you account for all of the items that they did, any other day of the week, you're going to spend or can spend as low as $50 for tickets, hot dogs, chips, soda, across the board. And then you can see in comparison some of the other entertainment options in and around the area. And then just real quickly, how we reach our fans. You'll see a lot of social media and online presence there. I'll let you guys look at that on your own in an effort to move through. Just some comments here from our fans. These were pulled from our Facebook page. Positive comments that fans are making about the time that they had at the ballpark with our players, things of that nature. Second, I want to talk about our community impact. Since we have been here, so our first season was 2013 with the current ownership group, we have made an effort to be in the community on a regular basis. These are some of the ways that we have been involved. You'll see some of the common ones that you might participate in as well. The Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, a variety of parades, career fairs, things like that. We're in a lot of schools. We're involved with the library. So several different items here that we're involved with. some pictures of our front office staff as well as our players and mascot in and around the community at different events. So things here in Joliet as well as the surrounding communities. Some of the relationships we've built, these are organizations we're active in, chambers we're active in, as well as some of our own initiatives. So we do a kids club program, we do community nights with several of the area communities, and then we also do the Spike Super Students program, which is an educational program in the schools that we partner with the University of St. Francis on. This slide shows some of the corporate business partners that are involved with the Slammers, a long list, both local as well as regional and across the United States. And then our economic contributions, this lists some of the ways that we do contribute in the form of wages, taxes, different city services such as rent, licenses, police, paramedics, that sort of thing. And then one thing we're really proud of is our seasonal employees. We have a 90% return rate, which is really great. It helps some of that continuity, the customer service aspect. So we're really proud that our seasonal employees enjoy working for us and continue to come back year after year. Some of our other economic contributions is our donation program. So this list of organizations are people that have requested a donation for an event that they were holding. It's typically 4 tickets to one of our games that they can raffle off, give away as a prize to a top contributor, things of that nature. So we're proud of this. We're typically around 300 to 400 organizations that we donate tickets to. This year we're already at 200, so we're really excited for 2018 as well. We also make a few other donations. So we do jersey off your back auctions. So some of those, we do a breast cancer awareness night. That money went to Pink Heels. We work closely with Firehouse Subs and their Public Safety Foundation with their jerseys. We've worked with Autism Speaks. We work with United Way. So a variety of other contributions that we're able to make as well. Also, if you do a group outing with us in your nonprofit, you have the opportunity to do a 50-50 raffle with us. So that's another opportunity for people to earn some funds for their organization. This is just a nice letter from Firehouse Subs, the Safety Foundation. These are some of the groups that we've hosted at the ballpark. So in 2017, we had nearly 42,000 group tickets sold. You'll see there from across the area, Joliet, Bolingbrook, and many of the other surrounding communities. That continues to the next page. Something that we were really proud of in 2017 is that our total ticket sales were up by 11%. And just to give you kind of an overview of how that matches up with the other area minor league teams, we were well ahead of them. We were actually in the top 20% when you look at average attendance increase across minor league baseball. So affiliated teams, independent teams, and collegiate wood bat summer teams. So we're really proud of that and hope to continue to build on that success moving forward. This is a testimonial from Amazon. We did work with one of their distribution centers this past year. They had their group outing, so you can see some pictures from the outing that they had at the stadium, and a really nice review that Linnea Kane gave to not only the Slammers, but one of our employees as well. And then finally, just how we bring people downtown. So this is a big focus for us, obviously not only to bring them to our games, but so that they're using the other businesses and spending money at the local bars, restaurants, and other entities that are located in downtown Joliet. So we had the All-Star game last year and all the events that went with that. We had the Dominican Prospect League, which is a really big event in Major League Baseball. These guys are mostly from the Dominican, but come from a few other countries as well. They come in and they're the guys that are going to be drafted in the 2018 draft and the 2019 draft. They were here for 4 nights in Joliet. They stayed in Joliet hotels. They were eating at Joliet restaurants. So this was a big event that we were proud of. And then the other pictures there, we have Faith Night, which was our second sellout of the year. And then the Amazon Night, which was our first sellout of the year. I've been with the team 5 years. This will be my 6th season. Up until this past year, we had never had a sellout while I was there. And then we had 2, so another item that we're really proud of. Talking a little bit about the All-Star Game, we were chosen to host the Frontier League All-Star Game in 2017, and we made it our goal to use as many Joliet facilities as possible. We really wanted to highlight the city. So we used the Grand Ballroom, we used Harris Casino and Hotel. We bought some items from a local business. We did a prison replica giveaway, which was a huge hit. The photo on the bottom there is actually the line at the front of the stadium. If you happen to be around the stadium that night, the line was all the way back to BMO. People were really excited to get the prison replica, and we continue to hear people from across the United States trying to get their hands on one. And then the next couple of slides just cover some of the news articles that highlighted the stadium or the Slammers and the different events that we were holding. So I'll move through these pretty quickly, just to highlight that we try and stay in the news as much as possible to continue to get our name out there and get people to downtown Joliet. Again, you can see the prison replica there. Got a pretty good tweet showing in the first couple of minutes after we announced it. And then finally, just to talk about Cards Against Humanity and how we're trying to use it to drive people to downtown Joliet. So as part of their Christmas mailing, we did participate in that with 150,000 vouchers going out across the United States. And you might think, people won't use the voucher if they're in California or New York or wherever it may be. We actually are getting calls to the ballpark every week, people planning their vacation to Joliet this summer to attend a game, stay in Joliet, plan a weekend here. So we're really excited about that aspect and hopefully drive a lot of people to the other businesses in downtown Joliet and, drive some economics that way. So we'd be thrilled if 10% of those people use their vouchers and adds 15,000 people down to downtown Joliet. That's something we're really excited about. And this page, you can actually see some of the people that are actually planning trips. There's a couple tweets of people planning to come to Joliet this summer, as well as some of the news that we were covered in some of these different areas. We have a really hard time breaking into even Chicago stations just due to the amount of sports teams that are in the Chicago area. We are thrilled when we get, 10 seconds airtime. So you can see here, not only were we on TV in Chicago, we were on TV in Cleveland, New Orleans, DC, Dallas, Houston. St. Louis isn't listed, but we were on St. Louis stations as well, talking about Joliet in a positive manner and hopefully getting some people to visit this summer. And then we estimate we've had about 5 million views on the internet because of this promotion. So we're really excited to see Joliet out there and mentioned, and hopefully we see these people come to the stadium this summer. So just to wrap it up, we are continuing to provide affordable family fun. We continue to try and make an impact in the community and continue to try and bring people to downtown Joliet. Any questions?
Any questions?
How much longer is the banner going to be on?
It will come down in the next month or so, before any event that's held at the stadium, because you do have to open the gates for an event, so it'll be before then.
Just a comment, because I had to meet with you because I couldn't make the other meeting, but just to put it out there, that 150,000 of tickets are already paid for. It's not tickets that you gave out. It was tickets that were paid for by the Humanity people. So I just wanted to put that out there. So you didn't think you were giving tickets away.
Yeah, no, we're not in the
Money in
business
hand.
to give tickets away, yes.
Mayor? Yes. It said $200,000 in contributions for education. That's not just in this area. Is that what they do?
It's through donorschoose.org. So it was, there might have been local classrooms that were helped. I don't know the specifics on the classrooms that they helped, but that was one of 6 days of mailings. We were day 6. I don't remember which day that was, but they were matching donations up to $100,000 for classrooms across the United States.
All right, thank you, Heather. Yes, Mike?
Mayor, if I can just make a brief comment here after Heather's report. Mike Hansen and I've been retained by the Jackhammers to help with their relationship with the city.
Michael,
Slammers, yeah, excuse me. Freudian slip, what can I say? All right, too much. Thank you, Pat. Nice mistake. Anyway, We do have one, small request. We have a one-year lease that is good through the end of the season. We'd like to sit down with the city manager and city attorney to talk about an extension of that lease. I think we've shown good progress. It's real important to our organization as well as the city to have a nice, a long-term 5-year type of lease in this type of business environment. We need it to secure sponsors, to secure contracts with our pop vendor, beer vendor, naming rights, et cetera. So we're gonna hopefully this month sitting down with Mr. Hales, Mr. Shanahan to see if we can come to a agreement that would satisfy them and satisfy the city council. So just wanted to mention that to everyone here tonight and see if anybody had any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mayor Odekirk appointments. None.
Mayor and Council, I would like to make one request before you consider the agenda, and that is that you pull or delete from the agenda you're going to approve tonight, Council Memo number 82-18, request for authorization to repair damaged fire apparatus, Tower 6, and convert it to a Quint. And Council Memo number 83-18, request for authorization to purchase one E1 Metro 100-foot 2017 demonstrator Quint apparatus for the fire department and declare surplus and sell one existing 2008 E1 100-foot ladder truck. By pulling these from the agenda, that will give the fire chief, the deputy, myself, time to continue and to have some serious dialogue with all fire personnel regarding questions that have been raised about the Quints. And as we complete that discussion, we'll come back to the council with a recommendation. So that would be my request, to pull those two items for the agenda tonight.
You need a motion for that? No?
We do need a motion to approve the agenda as written and then with pulling those two items.
So moved.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the agenda as written and with the request to pull Council Memo 8218 and 8318. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard on agenda items. First, we have Scott Liberich.
Leadership.
I'm gonna pass.
You're gonna pass?
Yes.
Burke Arslan.
Thank you for your time. My name is Burke Arslan. This is Mike Fitzpatrick, the owner of Evil Intentions. I was not only the broker that introduced Mike to the city of Joliet, but I've also been asked to be the volunteer outreach and public relations coordinator. We want to just simply present to you how this came about, that Mike and his company has a history, a 10-year history of working with a historic building in Elgin, preserving it, maintaining it, and promoting its value, its historic value in Elgin. Currently, we're raising, when approved, if you were to approve a lease for us, we have a proposal ready to send out for sponsorships. All of that money would be used towards Haunt with Heart, would be our nonprofit name. And we want to have the public school kids be able to come and visit on a historic basis the prison itself. All of that money would go directly into getting the kids there, as well as the building and its repairs that are needed. The goal, the financial goal, is $150,000 there. I want to also point out that in his 13-year business, he's been the #1 haunt in Illinois. This year, he's the #1 haunt on 2 sites, #2 in the country, and a very organic, family-driven business that we want to also open up to the residents of Joliet. I know that taking on a lease is an additional responsibility for you. I understand that, but I hope that, as you saw with the Slammers, we see it as a part of Joliet history that we can continue to preserve and build up. And we would love for that chance to do that and to demonstrate to you in this year how wonderful that could be for us.
Question, are you prepared to talk about what you want to do on the site, to give any details, or is that premature?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. If we are approved for this year, it will definitely be the haunted attraction, as well as ghost tours, and I believe the historical tours as well will be another thing that we'll be doing. If everything goes as planned, the next year we'll be doing escape rooms, as well as planning on restoring the building as much as possible. And if things keep going well from there, it could be a restaurant, hotel. There's many different factors in the haunted attraction industry that we could use as well. A zombie laser tag, paintball, there's all different directions we can take for a lot of revenue to be coming in for this, for the prison.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, so do we have a business plan?
We do.
Do we have it? Or does Steve Jones or has the city been presented with anything?
Our very first meeting we had, or the second meeting we had something that we submitted.
Would you?
It was in a full-blown business plan that we submitted to the city.
Okay. Would you like to speak on the posting on YouTube from January 30th that I was sent?
Yes, we got our dates mixed up and kind of jumped the gun a little bit on that. We apologize. That was our mistake for that.
And I don't know that much about YouTube, but it can't be pulled off?
Yes, we can pull it off.
Okay, I mean, we got the apologies, that was a mistake, but it's still there.
Understood. The media had already gotten a hand of it, so even if we took the site down or pulled it off of YouTube, they were already after him and your city members looking for more information. It was a misunderstanding on our part. We thought the meeting, this council meeting, would happen last week, and we wanted the actors to know from us the day after approval. And I was ill. I should have called in for permission to do it, so we seek your forgiveness on that.
Joel.
Any questions, comments?
I have a question. It's not so much for you folks. Marty, if I remember right, the agreement with the state is we must give 1 year notice, they must give 30 days, something like that, right? So if they were, not that they will, but if they were to tell us, you've got 30 days to get out in 3 months, how does that affect the relationship with these folks?
Chris, can you handle that one?
I believe it's if they have a buyer for the prison, that they notify us, is that correct?
That's correct. This kind of got brought up with when we discussed the agreement with the state of Illinois regarding the prison. The 30-day provision only kicks in if the state finds a buyer for the entire facility that we are currently leasing from them under the terms of our intergovernmental agreement. As it would affect our relationship with Evil Intentions, it's in the sublease that you have that every provision in our sublease is subject to the terms of our intergovernmental agreement. So the sublease is secondary to the IGA. The IGA would take precedence.
And the only other question I had, obviously I would presume most of the changes they might make will be improvements, you know, based on the condition of the entire facility. But should they make something that's a substantial leasehold improvement, it's my understanding that, let's say they left, and certainly nobody wants them to, they can be hopefully successful, they're very excited about. Should they leave, who's responsible if the state says, oh, that change you made has to be put back at whatever cost?
It's also spelled out in the sublease that improvements to the structure remain with the structure. Industry changes they would make, like putting up things or effects for the haunted house, would have to be removed prior to their vacation of the building.
Yeah.
That's it.
May I point out that all their equipment, there's very minimal impact on the building, what they do. We've seen that at their Elgin site, and it would be the same here. They can take down everything and leave it as they would use it at the next site. So there's virtually no impact on the building or the structure. You would get it back as we're getting in better shape, because we're gonna bring it up to code and usable condition.
Other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Eric Simplinsky.
Hello, we're a kind of a group deal here. Hello, Council, Mayor. My name is Jason Seneker, 610 Ann Street, Joliet, Illinois, lifelong resident of Joliet. The reason I'm here tonight is to learn more about the old Joliet prison and why there was not an opportunity for people or businesses to submit ideas or RFPs for that site. The background on myself, I own and operate Basement of the Dead in downtown Aurora, Illinois for the past 7 years. In that time, we have won countless awards and accolades, some of them being named #1 haunted house in Illinois by Haunted House Chicago and the Chicago Tribune. We have also been named the best haunted house in the world by BuzzFeed.com. Through our hard work, creativity, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of advertising, we have brought 250,000 people into our haunt in the downtown area of Aurora, Illinois. The city of Aurora has given us its first ever Gold Star Business Award that goes towards our commitment to excellence, working with other local businesses, and the work we do in bringing the people into downtown Aurora. We also work with countless charities. The biggest charity we work with is Children's Hospital. Last year, we raised $50,000 in one night for them, for an organization we have called Haunts for Hope. Along with the haunt, we also operate 2 award-winning escape rooms. With Eric, who will speak next, we also build and design escape rooms all over the world. Right now, we have escape rooms in New York, Boston, Indiana, Texas, Canada, North Dakota, and soon to be in Mexico and the Netherlands. In closing, we are more than qualified to run and operate a haunted attraction and escape room in the Joliet prison. We would just like the opportunity to see the grounds and put together a proposal if possible. On a side note, I do know Mike from Evil Intentions. Mike is a great guy, and I respect Mike. And in no way am I saying that he can't do it or I can do it better than him. All I'm saying is last year when we found out that there was a chance that Joliet was going to get this building back from the state, we did speak to a council member, and we had the understanding that we thought that there was going to be something that we could go and see it and put a proposal out. And so that's all we're asking for, is a chance to also put our spin on it, if possible.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Eric Simplinsky of 1005 Oakland Avenue. As many of you have known, I've just celebrated my 27th year running the haunted house at 602 Western. Over the years, we've had probably over 150,000 people come to our location. I want to thank you guys for always talking about us at your meetings and making sure we have a nice police enforcement and everything down there to have a great, safe time. It's been really great to get to know everybody and really see so many people in the community come together. It is great because it is a free thing that we've ran for so long. And again, I would just like the opportunity, myself with my partners, Jason and David, to put something together for the prison. Thank you.
Thank you. Marty, you going to address the council? Marty, we talked about this last night. Could you address it again about the issue with the RFP?
Well, I want to actually answer that question with a question. How long does it take to set up a haunted house, for example?
It depends on what kind of haunted house you're looking for. You know, so with something like the prison, which already has that. Again, just so you guys know, we're in a building that's 110 years old. We're in the basement of an actual historical building. Same thing, same idea. And what's great about that basement, just like the prison, it already has a lot of character. So it's real simple. You don't have to do much to make it look like a haunted attraction, you know. So again, to set something up, to answer your question, maybe a month or two, you know, depending on how much stuff you want to put in there. And I also agreed with what was said about Evil Intentions. It doesn't take, we wouldn't have much of an impact on the building itself. You know, it already kind of lends itself to that character of being a haunted house. You don't have to do too much to it.
So with this particular building, it doesn't have electric, it doesn't have water, it doesn't have gas, it doesn't have heat. all that would have to be done before you even start.
I understand, but again, I'm not trying to say that I'm gonna jump in and do something. I just want to be able to go and see what it would take in order to do something. You know, I mean, it's just, I mean, yeah, maybe it is above my budget or what, you know, I mean, but again, we just haven't even had the opportunity to go in there and walk around and just see it, you know?
So to kind of answer that question, it's, the city was looking to do something in 2018, and a bidding process just was in such a tight timeline with, you know, trying to get something open in September. You know, we'd have to, by the time we got, well, first of all, when we went to the state for a lease, we had no idea how long that would take. That was the first thing. It took the city, what, 2 years to do a lease for the, or just to get on the property itself for enforcement. So we weren't sure with that. So then we were contacted by Evil Intentions even before that, and then we went to the state to try to work out a lease, knowing that, hey, maybe in the back of our mind we have you know, this opportunity has presented itself. So in December that happened with the state. So let's just, you know, using the kind of moving forward, by the time that the city would have realized, hey, we have a lease, then try to write up some sort of bid, by the time we would have advertised it and then received bids, you know, meet with those bidders, select the bid, and then award it to someone, now we're already talking late spring, early summer. The timeline just wouldn't work, and we have a really tight window with the city, excuse me, with the state on what we want to do with the property. So hope that answers the question.
Okay. I mean, I still believe that I could I could get you guys something probably by next week, in the next week. I mean, and you know, I mean, I'm just, it's, this is something that we do. I mean, I do for a living, you know, so to get something in there, and the National Haunt Show where you actually go and buy all your props and everything doesn't take place until March anyway. So literally, if I was awarded this, I'd be able to go to the show and spend money in March and get my stuff. So I couldn't be building anything right now anyway in there. So it wouldn't be until a couple of months from now anyway. I mean, obviously once you get all the electric done and everything else.
I'll speak up. I think this is a curveball. 2 weeks ago, we were being criticized that this was a waste of time. No one wanted to go in there. Now there's a battle of haunted houses. So. Oh yeah,
and again, you know, I don't want to. There's probably going to be something between me and Mike if I have a dinner together or something. But I lived in Joliet. I know the stories about that place. I mean, I know that the whistling ghosts and all that kind of stuff. It's something that I always wanted to do, you know. And I guess, like I said, we did speak to Mr. Mudrin about this last year. You know, and kind of it's like, okay, when it does happen, it's going to happen quick. And we knew that. I just saw something in the patch, what was like last month when the deal kind of went through with the state. So we were kind of like, okay, something's going to happen pretty quick here. And then all of a sudden, we just start seeing this thing from Evil Intentions, and it kind of blindsided us. We had no idea that was going to happen.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes.
So you can, you know, our next meeting's in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And you can make a decision in 2 weeks whether you can even submit, you know, a proposal and so forth. Yes. You know, and I would suggest possibly tabling it, then I can make that motion. I would like to point out that we've got 6 people in here, like you said, competing. They all apparently make a living at freaking and creeping people out, and not one of them looks like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, no, it's
sounds like a council meeting.
Yeah, there you go. So I would make a motion to table for 2 weeks.
No, yeah, honestly, we do a lot of scary stuff, but this is very scary for me right now, just so you guys know.
Well, the citizens to be heard. I guess when we get to that point, the council will.
Yeah, I jumped the gun on that.
In all fairness, Councilman Mudrin, did you tell staff that there was an interested party?
I don't know that I did tell Steve when he talked to us in closed session about what potentially could come about. Right. I did not talk to him there. I don't think I did.
Well, we're going to address this a little bit later in the meeting. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your time. Thank you.
Do we have any other citizens that'd like to speak on an agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to council committee reports. We have CTIS.
Yes, CTIS met on January 17th at 8 o'clock in the executive conference room. Councilman Mudrin and Councilman Gavin were in attendance along with David Rayner, the director, and staff. And we discussed quite a few things. I'm going to give a little brief outline, and then David's going to come up and explain everything. So we talked about the the PATS line, which is plain old telephone status, removing some of that. And the project roadmap, also the GMIS accreditation program, which is also good for IT best practices. So David, would you like to take it away, please? And it's all about saving money, so I knew you'd like to hear that.
Mayor, Council. What we did cover also, we kind of did a, what I'm going to call an 18-month review, if you will, because some of these projects have been spanning over a year. But basically, the big thing that we accomplished in 2017 was updating our WAN and our LAN. I've been showing you pictures of that. That is pretty much done. We're putting the last segments on in the next couple weeks. We also covered a 2018 roadmap, and at a meeting with a little bit more time and probably less people, you know, I'll go into the details on it because it gets kind of technically boring, but you guys need to hear it nonetheless. The POTS line, actually it's plain old telephone service.
Oh, service?
Service, but, so those are the lines that go into your house. This is kind of an interesting project. We had roughly about 250 of those citywide. Each one runs anywhere between $40 and $45 a month. So you do the math on that, that gets quite expensive. We've actually knocked about 150 of those out. These have been in service for an awful long time. So we're looking at about annual savings, about 80K, just from that effort alone. The other big project we've been working on is GMIS, which is basically an organization of information system professionals that are government related, has created an accreditation process. So we're going to go down the road of, and this is kind of it's a new product for them, but we're going to be one of their first larger cities to go through a full accreditation process. This is a long journey. This is probably a 3 to 5 year process. If we were to get audited right now, we wouldn't be where we need to be. But what it is going to do is going to keep me honest. It's going to keep us honest as a city, and we're going to do all the things that are correct to make sure that we have the best systems, for a city our size. So we're starting that process. It's basically a big, long punch list. We're going to start working on those projects, many of which we've done and we've accomplished to date. But it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a journey, and it's going to be one that's it's going to be prudent for us. Other than that, that's pretty much summary. Okay. Thank you. You have any questions? All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're all good. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Next, we have land use.
Yes, the Land Use Committee, we met January the 24th here in the council chamber. Myself, with Councilman Dickinson and Councilwoman Quillman met here. Also in attendance was the mayor. We had a short meeting for a change. One of the items on our agenda was the honorary street naming sign, which is on the agenda tonight to be voted on for former Councilman Hacker. So that was moved to the full council for approval. Actually learned some things that I didn't know about Councilman Hacker. I guess he helped start the K9, eliminated the city stickers, and a couple other things. So I think it's a great honor for him at this time, and that would be on Essington Road from Caden Farm until the beginning of the mall. Louis Joliet Mall, in which he was instrumental with the other council members and staff of bringing the Louis Joliet Mall here to Joliet. After the meeting, I did talk, I guess it would be okay, with Councilman Hub, and he had came up with an idea, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Kendall. I guess there's a street that circles the mall. Mall Loop. And we was wondering, I don't know if Ms. Hacker, the daughter, is here, why that wasn't proposed, or was Essington for, I know I read the report that he went along Essington Road to get a lot of the residents to annex into the city in order for the mall to be in the city. But I thought Councilman Hub's suggestion was ideal too, by circling the mall. Kendall or Ms. Hacker, I didn't know if, and this is something off the cuff. I know we're here for the honorary street sign for Essington at this point.
She's here, she's coming up.
Yeah.
Terry, are you referring to Hennepin?
Is it Hennepin or
Hennepin
Marlboro?
Drive?
The one that circles, I don't know. My
Here.
wife probably, I don't know.
There she is.
About to the mall.
I'm Diane Hacker, Bob's daughter.
Stay away from that.
The reason that I wanted it to be Essington Road is that's where, you know, he put, 2 years of his time in to, you know, go door to door and all the citizens and stuff like that. It was to get that actually annexed into the city. So I just felt, and, you know, talking to my dad, that Essington Road was more of an honorary from resemblance of all his hard work.
Thank you. I mean, it was just in discussion with Councilman Hug and I. And we were fine with Essington, but we just thought that was an idea as well by circling the mall. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Dad. The other item quickly was the city staff is wanted to bring more clarity to the donation boxes, the regulation of the donation boxes for clothes and things of that nature in terms of the ordinance. So they're going to clarify and strengthen the ordinance in order to have the boxes removed. Right now, I guess the owner of the property will be more responsible for the donation boxes that does not go through the proper procedure or process through the city to be placed in the city of Joliet. Other than that, that's all I have. Jan?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Good? Thank you.
It's short, like you said.
Yeah, for change.
Okay, next is public safety.
Yes, Your Honor, the Public Safety Committee met yesterday evening. We had 4 items on the agenda. The Public Safety Committee consists of myself, Councilman Hug, and Councilman Dickinson. The first item of business that we discussed was extending the police officers list. It's currently a year old, and the chief had asked that we extend that for 1 year, and we received unanimous approval on that. The next item, the second item that we discussed, was a purchase of an automated fingerprint ID system, and that was supported as well. And then the second 2 items, Council Memo 82-18 and 83-18, the city manager pulled from the agenda, which were basically referencing the purchase of a quince and the repair of Tower 6 and converting that into a quince. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is public service.
The Public Service Committee met today at 4 p.m. right here to my right. On the committee and present at the meeting were Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Dickinson, and myself. I would like to thank and acknowledge Councilman Morris for admitting he doesn't like to come to my district and shop. But I will continue to come to your district anyhow. We have many routine items, you know, sewer, water, so forth and so on. A couple of items, just for those that are following the ballpark, was, we reviewed the contract, award of contracts for the fence that's necessary, as well as the padding. And we did approve that. 2 other items that I would mention, and I believe we have some residents here that probably may want to speak at that point, were our continued program of improving streets by adding curbs and gutters. We turned them into SSA, special service areas. We reviewed, let's see, special service area for Smith Avenue, Center Street to Broadway Street. Now that means that the homeowners and business owners participate. A homeowner typically will pay about $300 for a single lot frontage if it's owner occupied. And of course the city pays the rest. The other special service area would be Charity Avenue, Knoll Avenue, and Retta Court. And Retta Court goes into a kind of funky, we're familiar with these in our area, 6 corners. And they've proposed to, in the process, to cul-de-sac Retta Court where it runs into the other 2 intersecting streets, because without a traffic control device, it's a very confusing and maybe slightly dangerous place to convert all these cars. And I suggested that we turn it into an English turnabout, and nobody really agreed with me. Thought it would be kind of cool to see Chevy Chase stuck there, driving around and around, not finding his way out. With that said, we went through all the other contracts, change orders, and pay estimates. We found them to be in order, and everything on the agenda was voted on unanimously and sent to the City Council with the committee's recommendation for approval on all items. Other than that, that's all I have for my committee meeting.
Thank you.
Stadium?
On January 31st, the Stadium Committee met. On the committee is Councilman Quillman and Councilman Turk. Councilman Turk was at the meeting. Councilman Quillman was at another meeting that day and wasn't able to attend. The update on the installation of the artificial turf was handled by Jim Trisna. The report there was the field is, all sub work is done, all drainage is done. The key date, or the key temperature is 50 degrees. They cannot start putting carpet down unless it's 50 degrees. They have a tentative date, hopefully of March 4th to start that, but all frost needs to be out of the stone that is on the underside. We also approved the extension of service agreement for the video board. Jim Trisna also spoke to us about what the Public Safety Committee was going to hear then on the fence and the padding. The Slammers made the same presentation we've seen tonight. There was a discussion with the Slammers attorney, Mr. Hanson, to ask our approval to meet then with the city staff to work on a long-term lease that we encourage the city staff to meet with them and work on such a lease. Mike, you have anything to add?
I think that's it.
That's my report.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda is approval of the minutes. It is recommended the minutes of the January 16, 2018 council meeting stand approved as recorded. Council memo number 50-18, regular payroll for November 10th through 23rd, 2017, $3,316,308.67. Council memo number 51-18, regular payroll for November 24th through December 7th, 2017, $3,429,683.22. Council memo number 52-18, regular payroll for December 8th through December 21st, 2017, $3,371,346.38. It is recommended that said regular payrolls be approved. Council memo number 53-18, position vacancies. It is recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 1 public works maintenance foreman, 2 position in the roadway division, and any subsequent vacancies. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. And Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is license and permit applications. Council memo number 55-18, a motion to rescind council memo number 28-18 and table the application for a drive-through permit for a Nick's Gyro restaurant at 1358 West Jefferson Street. Is there a motion to?
Yes.
There's some changes that I wanted to bring up so that the whole council's aware.
Yes.
For the neighbors, I talked to Jan Nahorsky, the head of the Reedswood. He's not here tonight. I called him, and Jan Quillman talked to him too, and we talked to the gentleman that's here, that's here representing the neighborhood.
Mr. Nick
If you would allow Mike to go ahead.
Mike?
Yeah, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, Mike Hanson on behalf of the applicant. We met today, myself with Jim Trisna and Russ Lubash, Joe Hammer from Rudiger Tonelli. We have agreed to a right-in, right-out on Midland Avenue. Jim Trisna can confirm that. We believe that's going to satisfy the neighbors with respect to our particular situation. That does not affect then the drive-through permit. We still have to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals on February 15th to obtain our variances. At that point, the drive-through permit would become effective. So I believe we've satisfied the desires of the neighbors in this situation. They still can come back on the 15th and discuss the variances. So I'm going to make a motion or a move to recommend the council then not rescind the drive-through permit.
Well, until you're elected, you can't make any motions there. But,
Go back to the jackhammers, okay?
you know, I belabored this point a little bit at length yesterday, and so did, you know, Councilwoman Quillman. And I'm satisfied. I talked to the, you know, those that were representing the neighbors. Marty, you talked to Mike. It's binding on this right in, right out, correct? So unless the deal falls apart, we don't need to rescind this because it will be right in, right out if the deal goes through, which addresses the concerns about the drive-through, correct?
In our opinion, yes. I think you should ask Mr. Trisna. He's your representative.
Well, I mean, legally, you know, I was concerned about that yesterday, whether or not we could put more, you know, requirements on it. Well, this is a separate requirement that they voluntarily have presented to Jim Trisna, and it's binding, correct?
I haven't seen anything in writing, but I think I can get it from Mr. Hanson.
Okay.
But my question, can we pass this today with nothing in hand and then have it go back to zoning when they ask for a traffic study? It's all backwards. It's all backwards, okay? Went to zoning after we had passed something else. They wanted a traffic study, so they tabled it. Now it's back to us. Apparently the traffic part has been worked out with the neighborhood organization and Mr. Macris, who is here. They're satisfied with it. But my question is, if we pass this, they go back to zoning for another approval? It doesn't make sense.
No, it's different,
It's all different?
The variances still have to go before the zoning board.
Well, what if they look at the traffic study and they go, no, 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 we don't like this?
Well, then there's no.
Then it comes back to us and we override it?
Well, then that would happen.
If the variances aren't get approved, you're not going to have a drive-through permit. It's very simple.
Because you won't have a restaurant.
Exactly.
Well, I want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Mr. Macris wants to speak.
Yes, Nick?
Nick Macris, 22 Midland Avenue. I agree with, and speaking on behalf of the Reedwood Neighbor Association, I agree with what you call right in, right out, to further define that the entrance to the drive-through off of Midland would only be for northbound traffic, and the exit onto Midland from the drive-through or the restaurant would be northbound exit only. And then what we would need to do is hopefully have our fine JPD supervise that to see that we don't have a clog going southbound on Midland trying to get in that way. But we do concur with the revised entrance and exit off of Midland Avenue. The question Jan brings up is the Zoning Board of Appeals mandated a traffic study be done. I still would like to see the results of that traffic study before we make any final decisions. I think that's probably addressing what you're talking about. Yes. There is a traffic study due to the Zoning Board of Appeals on February 18th. And I would like to see what that traffic study shows.
Marty, would the wise thing be to table this in? If zoning board hasn't signed off on it yet, I don't think we should be voting yet.
No, and that's why it's before council today.
To table?
To table, if you want the zoning board to vet it first before it comes here.
I don't think this is the table exactly. It was a motion to rescind. And my since we have worked this out now with the neighbors and with the city staff, my recommendation to the council is it's not necessary to rescind at this particular point in time. The traffic study, the traffic analysis will be considered by the zoning board when they consider the variances.
Well, I hate bureaucracy as much as anyone, but I think we should follow the procedure. I think zoning has to sign off on this.
I make a motion table.
Table or table and rescind? Or rescind the table? What are we doing?
I mean, on the agenda.
Well, what was your suggestion?
It's rescind the table.
It's already on.
Rescind the table.
But then if we rescind, excuse me, don't they have to come back here for the permit then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The drive-in permit, so it's another month?
Because there was also talk about a horseshoe putting in there so you couldn't turn left. You'd have to go north.
So we're not rescinding, we're simply tabling. That's your motion?
Well, you already approved it, so you have to rescind what you approved and then table it so you can readdress it again.
So we have to do two motions.
I put it in one, but it's all in one.
I think you could do one motion if you really want to table it, frankly.
Well, I made the motion, so.
To rescind the table?
Yes.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded to rescind Council Memo 2918 and table the application for the drive-through for Nick's Gyro Restaurant. Councilman Girl?
Yeah, this has kind of been an interesting one. I guess, Nick, your concern was you want to take a look at that traffic study before things kind of got a little cart before the horse here, is that?
Well, the Zoning Board of Appeals passed that a traffic study needed to be conducted prior to any further action. So, I agree with the right in, right out, but I don't think we need to disregard what that traffic study may show.
Okay.
Because it still may have an impact on even if the right in, right out will work. I suspect that it will greatly enhance the situation, but I do still think we need to see that traffic study that Nix was required to provide.
I think I'd like to hear from Mr. Tristan on this matter, because he's your representative, and he's the guy that we work with Mr. Lubash.
Mayor, it's been tabled. We can't really discuss it anymore.
The vote's begun.
Councilman
Girl had a question.
Yeah, I just had a question.
Sorry.
I don't have a problem with the restaurant. I don't have a problem with the drive-through, but I think in order to kind of keep the process the way it normally should be, I'm going to vote aye on rescinding and tabling, and I guess send it back, or it's going to go back to the zoning. But again, just for the record, I don't have a problem with the restaurant nor the drive-through, but just to respect the process, I'll vote aye.
And the neighborhood association has no problem with the restaurant. I want to make that clear.
Councilman Hug?
It's kind of an odd motion, isn't it? Yeah. It's really not completely tabled. We got to stop talking because we're actually taking action. We're rescinding. So with that said, you know, I apologize. Your client's going to have to come back another time to redo this, apparently. I think that we've worked it out. I think that was obvious. I'm not sure why we have to rescind it, other than, you know, the process. Well, the process sometimes doesn't serve the citizen correctly, because if they do finish their other variances, which they have to come back here for anyways, and those variances don't pass muster, this is all a moot point anyways. We didn't have to do this because there's going to be no restaurant. But since everybody seems to be on board to go back and redot the I's that were created this entire mistake, I'll vote aye to go ahead and rescind and table. And again, my apologies to your client for having to extend the process because our mistake is the city.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
And Councilwoman Clement?
The process was backwards. The neighbors want the restaurant. Everybody wants the restaurant. They just want to make sure there's no jam up with the traffic. I will vote aye for table and rescinding just for legal purposes.
Councilman Turk?
I would have no problem with a tabling motion, but I have a problem with rescinding, because if we rescind, then they have to come back through the whole process again for the drive-in permits, so I vote no.
Councilman Dickinson?
I thought we met everything that the Reedswood neighborhood wanted with this, but if you still want the traffic study, I'll vote aye.
And Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Okay, so the motion carries 6-2.
David, to Councilman Turk's point, can we expedite this once it gets through zoning or through the zoning process?
Yes, yeah, we will have it on the next council meeting after the ZBA takes action.
Mayor? And it does limit the inconvenience to them, because don't the other variances have to come to us once if they're approved by the zoning board? Don't they have to come to us for final approval? The other variances they're looking at, you know.
No, once they act on the variances, it can come right back to the council on the drive-through permit. Is that?
Right, but there's other variances they're considering. Those have to be approved by the council.
Members of the council, weigh in on our process. So the variances that will be before the zoning board would not come to the city council. Those are final at the zoning board meeting. The only thing that would come back per your action this evening is the drive-through permit.
When's the next zoning board meeting scheduled for?
That would be on
February 15th.
February 15th.
What's the date? I don't have it in front of us. How soon after that? 16th. Is that after our second meeting for the month or before it?
Your second meeting is the 20th.
Okay, so we can get it done by the next meeting then if it makes it through the zoning board, right?
And that assumes that they have the traffic analysis, and they take a vote that night, the 15th.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is public hearings. Council memo number 57-18, approval of an ordinance establishing the 2018 Joliet Special Service Area Number 1, Smith Avenue, Center Street through Broadway Street. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this issue?
Okay, seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is now closed. Staff is recommending the approval of this council memo. Is there a motion to approve council memo number 57-18?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is still a public hearing, council memo number 58-18, approval of an ordinance establishing the 2018 Joliet Special Service Area Number 2, Charity Avenue, Knoll Avenue, Rita Court. So this is a public hearing, so any comments are in order.
Would anyone like to speak on this issue? Yes, ma'am.
I'm a resident of that area. I live at 1007 Knoll Avenue. My family's here too. We all live in that area. The letter we got said that the contract included putting poured concrete aprons from the driveways to the street. Is that going to be flexible where the homeowner can choose whether they would like asphalt instead, or is everybody locked into like concrete?
We're gonna get you an answer.
I can answer it. Yeah, I'm Jim Trozen, Public Works. We put in concrete aprons. They are much more durable. We'll put it back to the right-of-way line. If you have asphalt behind that, if we have to cut a little asphalt and match, we'll match it back in. We do always, that's our standard material. It tends to last longer. That's all you look concrete for.
Also, to Mr. Hugg's point, I've been living in this neighborhood for 47 years. There is no way that I would learn how to use a turnabout. So I'm gonna personally recommend that not happening.
You got your wish, it looks like.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak to the council?
Okay, seeing none, let the record show the public hearing is now closed. Staff is recommending the approval of this council memo. Is there a motion to approve council memo number 58-18?
So moved. Second.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Hilton?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under ordinances and resolutions, ordinances, we have council memo number 60-18, an annexation of 10 acres located at 1150 Northeast Frontage Road, classification to B3 zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement of the 10 acres located at 1150 Northeast Frontage Road, an ordinance approving the annexation of 10 acres located at 1150 Northeast Frontage Road, and an ordinance approving the classification of 10 acres located at 1150 Northeast Frontage Road to B3 zoning. It is recommended said resolution and ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, the next ordinance we have is council memo number 61-18. It's an ordinance approving a reclassification of 645 North Bluff Street from R3 to R2 zoning. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council memo number 62-18 is an ordinance approving a vacation of a portion of Old Richard Street. Staff is recommending this ordinance be tabled.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second to table Council memo number 62-18. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. And next is Council Memo number 63-18, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow continuation of a 2-unit and R3 use within an R2 zoning district located at 207 Bridge Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Your Honor.
Yes.
You know, I had the intention when I came down here this evening to vote against this request. However, just to make sure, the parking area will be paved, is that correct? Okay. And this was built as a 2-unit, and it was an incorrectly by the city reclassified as a 2-unit. So it was not, and so it was kind of the city's fault. Therefore, I'll move the staff recommendation of approval.
Question, Mayor?
Yes.
And that's binding, that he will have to put in, not that I don't trust you, that he would have to put in the finished parking lot?
Yes, that is binding.
Okay, I will second Councilman Turk's motion.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
No.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
I'll support the district councilwoman and say no.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-2. Council memo number 64-18, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow massage therapy services within a part of the tenant space located at 2723 West Jefferson Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Council Memo 65-18, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow continuation of an existing 2-unit and R3 use in an R2 zoning district located at 806 Sherwood Place. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Motion carried. Council memo number 66-18, an ordinance approving or a resolution denying a second amendment to special use permit to extend the billboard removal date. The petitioner has requested that Council Memo 66-18 be tabled to the February 20, 2018 council meeting.
Move the table.
For what reason?
We had a call that said, Kendall?
Could you?
Yeah, I believe the petitioner could not be here this evening and wanted to address the council.
Could you approach the microphone? Excuse me. Can you approach the microphone, please?
Chris Lupo, petitioner. And I called earlier just to say that it may be tabled or request to be tabled. And I was told that in the event that it was going to be tabled, to approach you and let you know before the meeting started. And I did not.
So there's no request to table this? Okay.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
then
withdraw
we,
the second, and I'll withdraw my motion.
Who seconded?
Nobody
Nobody did.
All right, now I'll withdraw my motion. It's tabled.
okay, so then, motion, the recommended motion is the resolution to deny a second amendment to special use permit to extend the billboard removal date.
So moved.
Isn't there two options on the motion?
I think yeah.
There's an ordinance to approve or or an ordinance
And
to
then the
deny.
recommend,
With staff recommendation.
And there's a rejection to request the approval of the second amendment.
Right. There's a motion on the floor to deny.
I second that.
it's been motioned and seconded to deny, to approve the resolution denying a second amendment to special use permit.
Before you, other comments that you wanted to make, anybody?
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we have the motion and second then to, for the resolution denying the second amendment to the special use permit to extend the billboard removal date. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
No.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Quellman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
No.
Councilman Dickinson?
No.
Councilwoman Gavin?
No.
And Councilman Girl?
No.
Okay, no. So it does not pass, so, we have the ordinance approving.
I make a motion approving it for, what does it talk like, it's 10 years, it says? No longer than 10 years?
Comments?
Yes.
Second.
Is there a motion
You know,
and a
Mayor,
second?
I have a comment before we start anything.
Yep, just a motion.
You have just a motion?
Just a motion.
Second.
Okay.
I asked for the comment before the second.
Sorry, I had asked for a comment too, he was just finishing up business.
Okay.
Just remember, folks, you're setting a precedent. The fact is, there was an agreement made, and then there was a misunderstanding about the agreement, which required another 8-year extension, because our 8-year extension because of a lease agreement. We were very accommodating as a city. Now, if you vote yes to give them this board, which goes against our ordinance, you cannot say no to any other business that wants to put a board up to make an extra $1,200 a month. Not in all good conscience. You're setting a precedent. Remember that.
Okay, as I stated last night, it was stated back in 2009 that J.B. Ryder did not want the sign there, but they were bound by the contract that they had with the advertising. And it was also stated that they did not say that, but this is all by Mr. Fisher, who was the director of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So are we saying that Mr. Fisher was not telling the truth at the time? I mean, you already had 2 extensions, and it was also stated in here that you were not receiving any money at the time because you didn't like the appearance of it. And then last night it was stated that you are getting, what, $1,200 a month. So to have an eyesore there in our city, which we are trying to, again, I'm going to say it again, we're trying to revitalize the Jefferson Street corridor, and you have this big ugly eyesore up there for somebody else's profit. You're setting precedents again here. And everybody else is going to want a big ugly billboard or never come down. So we're never going to get anywhere. And that's my comment. I'm tired of people coming here, using all this, using all their friends and their votes and everything just to make money.
Questions or comments? Any other?
Comment?
Yes.
It's a business decision. I understand Councilman Hug talking of precedent. I think each business decision has to stand on its own merit, and I feel this has merit to be passed.
We need a second.
There was a motion in a second.
It was seconded, Councilman Turk?
Turk did, I'm sorry. So we had it's been motioned and seconded to, for the ordinance approving a second amendment to special use permit to extend the billboard removal date.
By 10 years.
by 10 years.
Oh my God, 10 years.
That was the motion, correct?
That was your motion?
Yes, as stated in,
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
No.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Girl, Councilman Hug,
Not really sure why we have an ordinance, not really sure why we go through the hassle of making an agreement. If parties don't have to honor it, no.
motion carries 6-2. Council Memo 67-18, an ordinance repealing Resolution Number 7213 and Ordinance Number 17708, Ordinance Number 17709, regarding the annexation of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital located at Maple Road and Hubbard Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
I would so move, now this will be coming back to us then?
Yes.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 68-18, an ordinance declaring certain properties as public nuisance. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Motion. It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 69-18, an ordinance authorizing the extension of the police officers' eligibility list. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, we have Council Memo Number 71-18, a resolution accepting the dedication of right-of-way for Emerald Drive, west of Chicago Street, Illinois Route 53. It is recommended said resolution be adopted. You guys did have, there was a change with the name on the dais.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 72-18, a resolution approving an honorary street name change for Robert Hacker on Essington Road between Caton Farm Road and Hennepin Drive. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
Before I make the motion, I would like to make a motion if I could, but I wanted to make a comment. I'm a little hesitant to name things after politicians for doing our job, but I did do research on this. And I talked to some, I hope nobody's offended, old timers. And in addition to the 15 or 20 houses that line one side of Essington and is incorporated, that's not even the biggest part. I was told it would have died in council back in 1976 if Robert Hacker hadn't continued to push it. There were several council members that were against it. So it would have gone to who couldn't support it at the time with their infrastructure, the village of Plainfield, had it not been approved there, and all the tax dollars wouldn't. And currently, it's one of the best performing malls, I understand, in Illinois and possibly around the country, where other malls are, getting closed up on their anchor stores. So while I'm usually not a real fan of politicians getting something named after it, I think Mr. Hacker did work extremely hard, and we are still reaping the benefits this many years later. So I would make a motion to approve this and give him the honorary name change.
I'll second.
Before you call roll, Mike, were you one of the people against this?
No. That's before my time.
Oh,
Come on now. Mayor, it happened in 1976, not 1876.
Yeah, right.
Okay, it is recommended said resolution is to be adopted, and you guys motioned and seconded that approval. And Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Gurr? Aye. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Councilman Hook, I said, I don't go to the mall. My money goes to the mall. I vote aye.
Keep sending your wife.
Right.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
You know, I had the honor of serving with Councilman Hacker, although the designation for the mall came, I was not here when that happened.
Were you born?
I was just born. But I think it's a very fitting tribute. He put a lot of time and effort to it, and as Councilman Hugg says, it's brought in millions of dollars of tax revenue into the city. And we all know that in the news lately, there's been a lot of anchor stores moving out because of people shopping online, and this one has weathered the storm during the recession and continues to do well. So it's an honor to vote aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
It's a great honor for a great guy. I vote aye.
Motion carried. We have Council Memo 73-18, a resolution approving a sublease with a vendor for entertainment-related events at the former Joliet Correctional Center.
Pauline, before we entertain this, Steve Jones, there's a request that you address the council.
Yes, I didn't get my hand up quick enough as Marty and Chris were kind of offering pieces of this. In effect, the whole discussion that we've had from the beginning with Evil Intentions has really involved probably 3 to 4 people. And I wanted to make sure that council understood the length of time that we've been involved in this and some of the context. I'm not so sure that 2 weeks is going to be sufficient. I'm going to tell you why. In effect, we've had discussions with Evil Intentions going back to about August. It was before the city actually had the IGA. It was at a point where, you know, we had our on again, off again discussions of whether the city would want to get into the prison business, as I'll call it. When they came forward with some plans that was more than just doing a haunted house. They talked about, you know, the potential of expanding this to hospitality, to really making this thing something that would be beyond some of the dreams that we've had for the prison. So we had, you know, a number of those discussions, and I think to a certain degree, it led the city to accelerate the process of really approaching the state and saying, okay, let's make this happen, because obviously there was a viable entity out there. After the IGA was executed, I think, and I'm looking at Chris, there have been at least 5 inspections of the space by the Evil Intentions folks to basically assess and analyze to see what it's going to take to get this in some sort of operating condition. We still don't have the answers. I mean, we're trying to figure out some of the utility issues. We're still trying to figure out how this can go from where it is now with, you know, very limited power on that side to something that could accommodate potentially thousands of people. So all I want to do is say that, you know, a 2-week evaluation is not going to be sufficient. It might be enough to say, okay, yeah, we could put up some spook house decorations, but we're so far into this with trying to do the analysis so that when we do it right. So if we do open this up for other proposals at this point, I think we take 2018 out of the game, because in effect, it's going to have a lot more analysis for someone starting from scratch. It was my intent, and, you know, obviously staff intent and then council execution of that intent are 2 different things, but it was always my intent, just from a vision standpoint, that whatever happened with Evil Intentions, you know, whether it's a 1 year, whether it's a 1 year with extensions, that there would clearly be a point where the city would get closer to that point of having to decide, are we going to seek acquisition of the prison property from the state, or are we going to say, you know, there's nothing here for us because the costs or the uncertainties are too high. Where I'm going with this is that at the point of where the city decides that this is something worthwhile, I think it's then totally appropriate and advisable that we start to get into the proposal perspective. I mean, we've hitched our wagon to this horse because it's gotten us from nowhere to having the potential to open up the prison and to start some of the tours and start some improvements and start some income coming in. But in effect, there's going to be a point where a decision has to be made where we're all in. And I think that's the point, and this is just my opinion, I think that's the point of where we start to look at proposals and we look to see, what will the marketplace bring, and we have our long list of vision, and we actually have a metric to gauge, those proposals against. I mean, right now, we're trying to get the place pulled together and to get something going. So my only point is for us to really, take 2 weeks, it's not going to result in much because we don't have the answers, and we've been in that building, and they've been in that building, and we're still trying to figure it out. So with that, I'll shut up.
Is there a recommendation, Steve, that you're making?
Well, I mean, our staff recommendation is that we proceed with evil intentions. But obviously, as I said, there's a point where the big picture starts to come into play. And I think that's the point where we open this thing up and, we make sure that whatever the vendor situation is, it's not just a haunted house. We're talking a full entertainment center. We look at things on the east side as I call it, more of the circus atmosphere, where there's the fun stuff, the heavy crowds. The west side clearly is more historical in nature. So I think some of those issues, we need to work those out at the prison committee. And it shows how we were in such a hurry to get this thing open. This lease is before you. We haven't even had our first meeting in the prison committee because in effect we know that timing is out there in terms of getting something operating by the time the season hits us in late summer. So I mean, it's my recommendation is that this be approved, but those bigger picture issues certainly become part of the prison committee discussion as to how do we expand uses beyond what's here, how do we look at what's happening in the West Prison, how do we look at what's going to happen in portions of the East Prison that these folks won't be operating in. So I think it's a work in progress. I mean, in a perfect world, absolutely. You do proposals, you get things going, but we were dealing with basically, as the mayor said, something everyone was criticizing us for even looking at. So we took the opportunity to get something going over the last 5 months with these folks, and they came with credentials and clearly, the vision that they presented to me, which we then shared with our staff, was something that was more than just, a couple hundred people on a night and not much real value to the city.
Question, Mayor. Yes, Steve, if I understand you right, and maybe I don't, so you're saying that let Evil Intentions go forward with their fall 2018 program, which will basically be a spook house. And once you figure out the electricity and all that, and then after it's up and running, even if they're successful, we can revisit. I don't know if that's fair to Evil Intentions.
Well, it is. I mean, they know that their agreement is 1 year. They also know that they have rent credits. So if there's income that not income, but if there's expense they put into the building above that, we have the potential of extending that lease out. But my point is, they know this is a limited run, and they'd like to make it a permanent run. We also have to figure out what it is we want this prison to be. I mean, those discussions really haven't occurred at the prison committee. So it's kind of like dating. You don't necessarily get married the first time you meet your potential spouse, but in effect it evolves. It may work out, it may not. In 3 years, let's take a hypothetical. In 3 years, we may have most of the answers figured out. The city may be proceeding to get the property from the state. We may say, okay, what you've provided thus far, Evil Intentions, is okay, but it doesn't meet a big vision, so we're going out for proposals. And if we land somebody that meets that vision, then in effect it's up to the city council to decide. So, you could look at this in any way and say it's fair, it's not fair. But in effect, I think what's best for the city is to literally get something going now. And as we move forward with this, prison committee starts to make some decisions about vision. We see what they have to offer. The city eventually makes a decision to move forward with acquisition. And the acquisition could be just the east side, if that's where the business can occur. That's where some income and some viable, sustainable activity can occur. Potentially the state or the city says we want part of it, not the other part. But it still puts us in control of making those decisions. And I think, from a big picture perspective, if if we don't approve this, in effect, I think we are wiping out 2018. I mean, it's, if we want to do it right. And I'm not disparaging the other folks saying they're going to do it wrong. I'm just saying from a timing perspective, I think the momentum we've got built and some of that vision is something that we're feeding off of. And that's one of the reasons we have the IGA, because we came to council saying that there is somebody out there.
Mayor?
Yes.
There's one more thing that I want to mention, kind of a big picture, and that nobody's really talked about yet, and that is that there's actually somebody going to be there. So if we approve this, there's someone actually going to be on site at the prison, keeping their eyes on it for the city. So that's something that we really haven't talked about yet.
Any other questions or comments?
Question, Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Jones, the contract I'm looking at that you gave us says that they have a one-year contract with a provision to renegotiate at the end of that term. So that means it could be a continuation on this negotiations. Is that correct?
If the city would decide. So my point is, you know.
Negotiations two-sided though.
Well, right. But in effect, if after the first year we say that we're not interested in renewing that, I mean, there's no obligation that the city has. And I'll look at the attorneys since they were the folks who drafted it. Is my interpretation there correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And at another note, do you agree that no one person has all the good ideas? And so why are we going with one person's idea? So we've already admitted that we don't know anything about what the best would be for the city.
I absolutely agree with that. And it's sort of interesting. I use the example, we hitched our wagon to them to start this. That's the point. We're starting this. This isn't the end all. After the IGA was approved, I had a few inquiries from folks, some that were similar to what is being proposed, some that are different. And I said to them, I says, we have to figure this out. You know, there may be some other opportunities here. We need to ride the momentum of this particular group to get something going out there while we do our planning. And the museum is a big partner in this. The city obviously is a partner. One or more vendors become partners. What this agreement does, this doesn't say this is it. This is the vendor we're going to take into the future and they're the only folks we're going to use or consider. I could see multiple vendors operating at some point in time with complementary businesses. Let's say the hospitality is something that we land, someone who can really put some serious dollars into that, and it's not these folks. Then they have to coexist. So it's timing. It's that 1 to 2 year period that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about excluding others in the big picture and the history of the development of this prison. I'm talking about something that lets us go now.
Questions, comments?
Okay, it is recommended said resolution be adopted. Motion.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Yeah, just a comment. I do appreciate the other haunted house businesses coming, and I do appreciate their interest. In fact, definitely thank them for their interest. As Mayor Odekirk said a few months ago, we were being criticized for kind of entering into this deal. But I do think, I know there was a comment made where we can have a proposal to you in 2 weeks. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Someone has to draft the RFP. Someone has to create the RFP. The RFP has to be sent out, not just to the people in this room that showed up, but to whomever might want to respond. It is only a 12-month lease. I agree with Mr. Jones that I think we missed the opportunity for this Halloween season. I appreciate what our staff did as far as jump-starting this thing. And it sounds like there's been a rapport that's been created as well with Evil Intentions. And again, it's a 1-year deal, and I'm assuming we're going to take this thing out for an RFP possibly at the end of the 12 months if things aren't working out, or maybe we do that anyway. So anyway, with that said, I vote aye.
Maybe it's a lesson. She called me, didn't she? I'm next. He just voted aye.
I didn't hear your name called.
I vote aye.
Okay. I coughed at the same time she said.
Right, sorry.
Maybe a lesson learned here. Kind of reminds me of an episode of the old Odd Couple show in the 70s when Felix told Oscar never assume anything because something happens. So it sounds to me like certain people involved assumed and myself being a member of the council who was not supportive of taking control of that prison, assumed nobody would be interested. Well, let's not let this happen again. Apparently there was local residents that would have been interested if we got an RFP out back when it happened, instead of assuming that, you know, only this group, very fine group, I met them earlier today, they know exactly how I'm gonna vote and they know why, don't you? So, you know, maybe a lesson learned on that. I'm still not in for the, what I see as the undefined liability and possible cost, so I would vote no, based on my original stand with the prison.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
I feel it's just the city staff saying we couldn't be up and running in 18. It is their opinion, who are not in this business, and I feel that we should give others who would want to take up the challenge and have it open for 18 season, give them that chance. I vote no.
Councilwoman Quillman?
I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk?
No.
Councilman Dickinson?
No.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye. You know, let me say, I haven't spoken, with all due respect to the people, local people came forward. I think we're gonna open this up in a year, most likely. But I certainly understand the efforts. This is sat and abandoned for 18 years. And I really credit staff with, in a matter of months, since the second fire in July, decision was made that we were gonna take action on this prison. It was a nuisance, it was blight, people were going to get hurt or killed inside of that, and it was not being attended to by the state of Illinois. So, with all due respect, and I know I've had spirited arguments with Councilman Hug about this, there were no better options. And I think we're doing it intelligently and moving forward. I had no idea that this was gonna be, like I said, a battle of haunted houses, but apparently it's turned into that. So I'm happy we're gonna get people on site. It's moving forward, and I agree with Steve Jones that this is one step in the process before we determine what's actually gonna happen at that site.
Council Memo Number 74-18, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of the 2018 Joliet PSAPS 911 surcharge reallocation grant. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to clarify, Pauline, the vote for the previous 73-18 was a 5-4 in favor. Saw some confused faces, so.
Sorry. Okay, next we have bids and contracts, award of contracts. Council Memo Number 76-18, a request for authorization to award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park exterior fencing. Council Memo Number 77-18, a request for authorization to award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park wall padding revised, and to cancel the award of contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park wall padding. Council Memo Number 78-18, a request for authorization to approve an extended service agreement for the video board at Joliet Route 66 Stadium. Council Memo Number 79-18, a request for authorization to approve a professional services agreement for the water distribution model and master plan. Council Memo Number 80-18, a request for authorization to approve a professional services contract for the design, permitting, drafting for the Hobart Road, Mound Road to US Route 6 water main project. Council Memo Number 81-18, a request for authorization to approve the Microsoft Premier agreement. And then also Council Memo Number 84-18, a request for authorization to renew portable radios maintenance agreement. It is recommended Council Memos Number 76-18 through 81-18 and Council Memo Number 84-18 be approved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Sorry, Pauline, I wasn't paying attention. Can you read it again?
I'm not going to do that.
Aye.
Motion carried. And the council memo 8218 and 83 were pulled earlier this evening. And amendments, change orders, and payments. We have council memo number 86-18, a request for authorization to approve change order number 1 for the Aux Sable and West Side wastewater treatment plants, phosphorus removal and expansion project, and council memo number 87-18, a request for authorization to approve change order number 2 and final payment for the 2017 biosolids disposal contract. It is recommended council memos 86-18 and 87-18 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager report.
Mayor and council, I have nothing to report tonight. However, we do have a few items with, for an executive session after the final action on this agenda tonight.
Okay, so we have new business not for final action or recommendation.
Nothing?
Yeah, I don't know if this new business or council comment, but it was some talk yesterday about the currency exchange across the street from Nick's. Are we gonna look into doing something with that, the people turning out into Midland left? I don't know if that would be Jim Prisoner, David, or, you know, it was some concerns from the Reesewood neighbors about the congestion from the currency exchange.
I do believe that would be wise. You know, more than likely we could approach them and see how they would feel if similar turning restrictions would be placed on their property. It more than likely have to be with their voluntary approval. We really have no permit or nothing we can hold over their head right now to require them to accept that if they were opposed. But I think that's a good point, and we'll have the Public Works Director and his staff reach out to Currency Exchange as well.
Thank you.
Quick follow-up question, Mayor, if you don't mind on that, because I did talk to a couple other people. We can't, as a city, just make it illegal to turn right out of there? If our study shows that we should? Why do we need their permission?
Well, let me, yeah, good question, good legal question for corporate counsel.
I know what you're doing this weekend, Marty. All right, if you can get the answer to that.
Let me say this. The city always has the right to go in and put raised medians in a street. That is typically where I've seen cities, you know, utilize their police powers. I don't know if that's the right term, but when you put in a raised median, then you make it impossible to make those left turns. We could have the Public Works Director look into that, but other than that, other than putting up a raised median, I don't know, Marty, if there's anything else we could force on them as far as signage on private property as they come out.
We'd have to look into it.
Thank you.
No. No. Public comments, is there anyone that would like to make a public comment?
Evening, Council. My name is Paul Siegel. Most of the members of the board know me. Most of you have been to my farm, our family farm, to make purchases and to enjoy yourselves with your families. We've been there 108 years. It's an actively growing farm. We also host Statesville Haunted Prison, which is in its 22nd year. As far as I know, it's the longest running haunted house in the state, running continuously at the same location. As a farmer, a term I kind of believe in is getting the cart before the horse. and that is for the staff to make decisions on behalf of the city before the committee that is set up to make decisions on the prison are privy to it. The council people that I spoke to that are on that committee did not know about these discussions, didn't know about these agreements until they became public falsely by the proposed renter. I just today got the copy of the proposed agreement, and it says that there won't be any taxes paid. I've been farming for 50 years, and I have rented land owned by the Department of Corrections, and as a leaseholder on state property, I was responsible to pay taxes. So I'm not sure how the city is in a position to say that you don't have to pay taxes, because someone has to pay taxes on the leasehold interest of public property that is being leased for non-public purposes. So, you know, I'm not sure what other inaccuracies there may be in the agreement, but someone should be paying taxes on the use of that property when it's not being used by a public entity, the city, the state, whatever. I'm not sure if this is a National Historic Site. If it is, there are some limitations as to what can be done to the structure. I don't know whether it is or not. As old as it is, I would think that it probably was. I had asked, per a council person's recommendation, I'd asked Pauline to speak prior to this vote, which I was not allowed to do. So I'm in this business. I've been in the community for the entire 60 years of my life. We've run a haunted house very successfully for 22 years, right down the road. And I'm not sure, I know a lot of people in the city that were involved in these decisions, why no one ever came and asked for an opinion, thoughts, you know, why they went to someone out of the area. They run a nice haunted house, and we've been at it longer than they have. And, you know, we could have stepped up if it had become known that it was an opportunity that you were looking for. I didn't know that the city was even going to be doing anything until December when it was announced it was going on. So it seems like a lot of lack of transparency, a lot of things going on in a vacuum that only a few people knew about. That's why I was here last night. I wasn't here to, you know, cause trouble, say that your proposed leasers are bad people. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they have a bad plan. We have a model for operating a haunted house that's themed on a haunted prison for going on 22 years. So I'm presuming they're looking at my model that I've been operating and saying, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. I'm not sure why that didn't come to anybody at the city's thought process that maybe they would want to do it here. You know, I would like to have been talking about this before you had to break the tie vote, Mayor, but.
You had the format time, you did have an opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting about agenda items. So that was open up to the public to address an agenda item, or again, at the end of the meeting. But there's a 4-minute time limit, if you could wrap it up, please.
Okay. Well, enough said. It shouldn't have been operated in a vacuum. It should have been very transparent. I know with home rule powers, you can do things that maybe a lot of the rest of people don't have to do. I've been on a lot of boards, and we have to go out to bids. There's a process that you follow, not just because it's the legal thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do and the fair thing to the people that you represent. So I wish Evil Intentions the best of luck. I think they've got a tough road to hoe with their hands really tied, not even having power to that side of the. I just don't know how staff thinks that they're going to get this moving safe for the public for this year. I don't know that it's possible, and you're asking quite a lot of them. So I wish them luck. I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to speak before the vote was taken. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, and let's try it again. Mr. Mayor, and council members, and the city manager. I was kind of late on coming to you about this. I know with the council member 5818, that was the Clearview subdivision with the water and sewer and with the curbs and the storm drainage. The question I have for you is that in 2016 we did my street, Doris Avenue, we did had the work done, and it was very good. My question is, when you first came out, we talked about this in 2016. We were looking at how we were going to pay the $300 back to the city. Now, at that time, they said it was going to go through our taxes. Okay, well, it did not. We paid it, up front. You sent out an invoice for us to pay it. My concern is that some of the people, the older people, they weren't able to come out, and they came to me and they wanted some answers as far as how they were going to pay this back to the city, this $300. Was it going to go as it did with us, paying it up front, or were we going to pay it through the taxes? So this is what I'm asking about. I don't know if it was going to make any, what the decision was, or if it's going to be the same as it was on in 2016.
Jim?
Jim, how you doing? I thought it was who you were. Anyway, yeah, that would be our normal procedure. Is when the project is done, the city then invoices everyone for their share of the project. We don't put on your tax bill. If people have a problem making that payment, and some do, they can typically work with our legal department, and they'll give them a payment plan to extend that over a little longer time. Okay, very similar to what we did with your project.
All right, you answered my question.
Thank you.
Now I can take it back to the older people.
Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, mayor and council comments?
I'd just like to congratulate George Contos and Cindy Contos at Town and Country Bowling Alley. They, this weekend started the state bowling tournament for women, and Mayor Odekirk came and welcomed all the women to Joliet. And judging by the crowd that was there, I'd say the first weekend was a huge success. And they'll be in town for the next 9 weekends, and it should be a nice little boost to Joliet.
Yes, our little boxing friend JoJo, and JoJo, I apologize. I cannot if I mess your name up. Awananga, Joseph Awananga, 2018 Silver Gloves champion. He was in, I think it was St. Louis, Missouri. He fought out of an opponent named Famous Johnson out of the Mayweather's gym. He has captured another belt, Your Honor. And for right now, Joseph is 2018 Silver Gloves champion, 4 times national champion, 2017 USA Nationals. So JoJo, congratulations. And he's a straight A student.
Good.
So, loving that.
Sounds like JoJo might be fighting out of the Meriwether gym after that, but I have no comments. You're on.
As a cheer father myself, I'm sure the Joliet West parents of the Joliet West competitive cheer team are extremely proud. As a community, we should be extremely proud, and they represented themselves, their school, and our community fantastic. They took first place in the IHSA tournament as the large school division, and that means now, going back over the last 3 years, 2 years ago they took first place, last year they took second place, and this year they came back and took first place again. So I just wanted to mention, I'm very, as a cheer father myself, I understand how difficult it is for those kids. I mean, they really have to work hard, and I did watch it over the weekend because my daughter and my wife subscribed to the IHSA computer program stream, and we watched it, and they were flawless. They set a gold standard here at their school, here in their conference, which includes Joliet Central, Plainfield Central and all those, for the whole area. And now they set the gold standard 2 years out of 3 for the whole state. So congratulations to the Joliet West competitive cheer team. I was there today with the mayor, with Councilwoman Quillman, and I believe Councilman Dickinson didn't come today, but was there on Sunday.
Right, I was there for the
for the welcome home parade.
The year that they finished second, they only lost by ½ a point.
Right.
So, yeah, and this year they won by 4 points.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Couple Rialto items. The Rialto Board this past month signed the intergovernment agreement with the council. They wanted me to thank the council for the support going forward here in 2018. They also wanted to thank the painter's apprentice for painting the foyer area of the office building, the 2RS building, and Home Depot via the Glidden paint rep who donated the paint there. And there's been a sign that finally has been donated to get installed above the doors. The electric running sign got installed a week ago for general announcements.
Just to tag on to Councilman Hugg's, cheerleading is not what you think it is. It's not like when we went to high school. It is all gymnastics and aerials, and I saw part of that too, and these kids are amazing, and we're very proud to have them come back with the state championship, and I think you invited them to the council, didn't you, Mayor, for a proclamation? Yeah, we're going to, yeah. Also, I attended the Little Black Dress Soiree for United Way last week, and it was very well attended for a first evening. It was girls' night out, and it was at the Renaissance Center, which was very nice. Let's see. I'd also like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day to all my colleagues. Hope you're giving your wives or significant others a fun evening or fine one. And last but not least, I want to wish our Katie a 25th happy birthday. I can't believe she's a quarter of a century year old. So happy birthday, Miss Katie. We'll see you soon. That's it.
Your Honor, just, we left here pretty late last night, and I think it was just about the time the storm was ending. And Mike Eulitz and his street department did a great job overnight cleaning the roads. I live on a cul-de-sac. At 6 this morning, the cul-de-sac had already been plowed, and they do cul-de-sacs last. So the roads were in great shape this morning. So.
January 17th, McDonald's on Essington Road had a grand opening. There were a number of council people there. It was a very fun event. Ronald was there. There were other clowns, I guess, but Ronald was there.
We were there.
Yeah. January 18th, the Old Timers had their annual banquet. I know Councilman Turk, Councilman Mudrin, you were there, Councilman Dickinson. Thank you to the Old Timers for all the work they do supporting local baseball and softball. January 23rd, Joliet Junior College hosted a Greentown Will County Advisory Council meeting. I was present at the meeting. Thank you to Joliet Junior College for doing so. January 24th, the Chamber of Commerce had a lunch. Jim Rolfe and Rod Tonelli spoke about what's happening in downtown Joliet. They represented the City Center Partnership. They did an outstanding job. Probably spent about 40 minutes talking about all the economic development in downtown. So it's great to see them help get the message out, the positive message about what's happening here in Joliet. Last Saturday, Kappa had their general meeting. Councilwoman Quillman, Councilman Turk, and Councilman Mudrin were all there. Very nice event. Thank you, Kappa. I was at Joliet West today, so again, congratulations to the cheerleading squad, and thank you for bringing home this honor to the city of Joliet. And then finally, Councilman Turk, to back up what you said, thank you to our street crews. They've been working hard the last couple of weeks. They were out throughout the night. They got out in a timely fashion yesterday, and I've received a lot of compliments. I think I had one complaint and probably about 10 compliments, which is probably pretty the inverse of what he usually is. But
I had no complaints.
thank you, Mike Eulitz, and all our hardworking street crews, and our first responders who have been out in the elements. Thank you.
And I apologize for calling you, Mayor. I'll call the city manager and complain next time.
Thank you.
There was a request to go into closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman, sorry about that. Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hutt? Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Ludwig?
Aye.
Motion carried.